My name is Tara from the McVegans. Today we're going to be making vegan tamales. Tamales originated in Mexico thousands of years ago. They were used as a portable type of food made primarily from corn. The Aztecs and the Incans used it to be able to take food with them from place to place. Generally wrapped in a corn husk or sometimes a banana leaf. You're able to take it with you and also use it as a type of plate when you open it up to eat it. Today there are thousands of different kinds of tamales, cheese, meat, fruit, vegetable. Today we're making green chili and cheese and red chili and jackfruit. So here we go. So now we're going to start with the red chili sauce for the jackfruit and red chili tamales. We use these red chilies. You can buy them at any Mexican market, Northgate, Superior. The way you do these is you are going to remove the stem, like so, and you're going to try and get as many seeds out as possible. If you cook with the seeds, it could potentially, the sauce could come out too bitter. They're pretty easy to get out. Just dump them like this, as many as you can. This is an entire bag, just a pre-packaged bag that they sold at the store. You can just use all of it, and you could even freeze if you have any left over. It's very important when you toast the chilies in the pan to think that maybe a couple seconds on each side isn't enough, but it absolutely is. If you over toast the chili on this step, your sauce will be bitter. Next, we're going to start the red chili cooking process. So we're going to toast the chilies in a little bit of avocado oil for a few seconds on each side. Then we're going to boil them. Just when they get to a boil, we'll turn the heat off and let them soak for about 10 minutes. I turn the heat on high to heat the avocado oil. That's about 2 tablespoons. You're going to let the oil heat, probably take about 30 seconds. While we're doing that, we'll put the water, just see what works for you. So now that the oil should be heated, we're going to fill the pan with the chilies. Just remember, overcooking these will give you a bitter taste that you do not want in your sauce. So I'm going to turn the heat off here. I'm going to turn the water on here to boil. And I'm actually going to use some of this. It's called Better Than Bouillon. It's a soup base. And typically you use like 2 tablespoons per cup of water. It just is going to give your sauce. I'm using a garlic based one. It is vegan. You can go ahead and put the chilies in even though the water's not boiled yet. That way they can start the soaking process. Once it boils, we're going to turn the heat off, cover it, and let it soak for about 10 minutes before we start to blend them. So here you can see the chilies aren't covered, submerged all the way, so there's only 4 cups of water in there. I'm going to add 2 more cups of water. Typically in LA, the month of December, if you're from LA or you grew up in LA, you would know that December is the month that you eat tamales. It's traditional for most people, Hispanic people, or even people just like us who aren't Hispanic but grew up in predominantly Hispanic neighborhoods and have all Hispanic friends, that we also use the tradition of Christmas time to make tamales. Last year my kids and I made probably 250, 300 tamales. We spent a whole day making them. The year before we made naca tamales because my kids are half Nicaraguan. So we've made, those are wrapped in banana leaves. We have made naca tamales, and then last year Mexican tamales. And now this year we thought it would be fun to make vegan tamales since Leon and I are vegan. So it's really easy to adapt your recipes now to be vegan. There's a lot of different ways to do things, and you can substitute a lot of different products in your food to make it vegan, and that's what we're doing today. Next, we're going to make the green sauce for our green chili and cheese tamales. So these are tomatillos. You can buy them also at any type of Mexican market. They look like this. They're called tomatillos. You want to peel them. I peel them before I roast them. They're too hot once you get them out of the oven to peel off the skin. So you just peel them like so. They are a little sticky. They'll get your fingers sticky. You just want to, once you peel, you can peel it just like that. Once you get to the bottom, just twist the stem, it comes right off. We're going to roast them at about 350 along with serrano chilies. You can use jalapenos. Jalapenos are a little bit more mild. If you want them to be a little bit more spicy, you can use serrano chilies. That's what I use. So peel all of these. And what you'll do is, once you have them peeled, you'll go ahead and slice your onion, and you can just put your serrano chilies on the pan along with your tomatillos and your onion and your garlic, and you'll roast all of it. Sometimes the tomatillos are hard to peel. And once we get it on the pan, we're going to drizzle the tomatillo, the onion, and the serrano with some olive oil, and we're going to roast it for about 15 to 20 minutes before we take it all out and blend it. Next, you'll place all of your green items and your onion and garlic. Your green chilies. If you leave the seeds in the chili, it's going to make it a lot hotter. So what you can do is take a small spoon and scrape your seeds out so it won't be spicier than some people can handle it. And you don't have to use a lot of serrano chilies. They are pretty spicy. I'm going to use about 4. Also, I highly recommend that you maybe wear gloves while dealing with the red chilies and the green chilies, because I'm going to have to take my contacts out later, and that's going to suck. All you really need to do is cut your onion into slices just like this, because it's going to be blended. You don't need to chop it or anything like that. So now we have all of our green salsa ingredients on the pan. What you want to do next is just drizzle it with olive oil. So you do want to roast it, like I said, at 350 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. The last couple of minutes, I actually turn the broiler on and let it kind of crisp everything and brown everything up. Now we're going to be taking our soaked chilies over to wherever we're going to blend them. In my case, we're going to use a food processor. You can use a blender also. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to take the chilies out, and I'm going to put them in the food processor. I don't want to make a mess. We're gonna turn this on for a few seconds. Next, after your red chili sauce has blended, what you want to do is you want to have something like this, which is like a fine mesh strainer. This is going to catch any seeds or stems we may have missed, because you're not going to want to bite into those. And you're just going to slowly put this through a fine mesh strainer. That's what you don't want in your sauce, because that's what's going to make it bitter. So you don't want that. Just get rid of it. Next, for the red chili tamales, we're gonna add jackfruit. You can buy fresh jackfruit also, like at a market, like I mentioned before, but it's gonna be humongous and you're gonna have way too much of it. So Trader Joe's does sell a can of jackfruit. So what you want to do is you're gonna open it, drain it, and tear up little pieces if you can, and put it in your chili sauce to cook it for a little bit. That'll make it a little bit more tender, because coming right out of the can, it's raw and it's going to be a little too firm. This is what the jackfruit looks like. It's kind of soft. What I do though is I do kind of tear it up, because you do kind of want it torn into pieces while it's cooking, rather than try and splash around and make a mess by putting it in there whole. Jackfruit, even though it is a fruit, it's not a sweet fruit. It has a very bland, mild taste to it, and it's very good at taking on the taste of anything that you cook it with, which is why it's a good thing to cook with like a red chili sauce. You're not going to taste any type of sweetness from the jackfruit. It's going to go ahead and take on all of the taste of the red chili sauce, and the point of the jackfruit is just to have kind of like a consistency of a meat that you would traditionally use, like pork or beef. What you want to do is you want to add some salt. That'll kind of draw out some of the moisture of the jackfruit and give it a little bit more of a kind of like a meaty texture. And I'm also going to add some cinnamon and some allspice, just for more of like a holiday type of taste. Traditionally, usually in red tamales, ground allspice is used, or ground cloves in there. So we're going to actually use our salt. I don't ever measure salt, I just sprinkle it. I actually never measure spices. I just sprinkle based on taste. So there's cinnamon, and I'm going to use just a little bit of allspice just for the ground cloves taste to get in there. And then you just kind of want to stir it and let it simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. That'll kind of get the jackfruit absorbed with the red chili sauce, and then it'll be ready for us to start filling tamales with. For your husks, you're going to want to, you can buy them in a bag at any Mexican market also. You need to soak them in a large bowl. You want to make sure they're completely submerged. So what I do is I use an extra large bowl filled with water, and then I add another large bowl filled with water to hold them down. You want to make sure you soak them for at least 30 minutes so they get soft. The reason for that is when you're folding them and you're going to steam them, you don't want them to be stiff or they'll crack and the masa will fall out. Next, we're going to check on our green salsa stuff. So as you can see, it's all cooked, it's soft, it's ready to be put into the food processor. This stuff's going to be hot. Make sure that when you use it, use some kind of tongs. Just fill up your food processor with all of the ingredients that you use on your cooking pan, which is your tomatillos, your garlic, your serranos, and your onion. And then we're gonna add cilantro and lime to our mix. Just throw everything in there. Here we have our cilantro. It's looking a bit dry because I've left it out. You really don't need to chop it too much. You're gonna put it in the food processor anyway. And I am going to go ahead. You can use something like coriander also, which is basically just ground cilantro and ground cumin. Now we'll just go ahead and turn this on and let it go for about a minute and a half. The next step in the process to making your vegan tamales is your masa. This is probably your most important part regarding it being vegan. Most of the time when you make tamales, you buy the masa pre-made at markets, and it is made with lard. So sometimes you can find it pre-made to be vegan. It is hard to find, and usually it is only found this time of year, but you can make it yourself really easily with which is just this. It's just masa mix, and then you use some salt, some baking powder. I like to use vegetable broth because it gives it a little bit more flavor, and Crisco can replace your lard. Another thing is that you can mix it with a hand mixer, and that would be okay. The most important thing is you're incorporating air into your masa and mixing it well enough that there's air to make it light and fluffy. If you do have a KitchenAid professional mixer, you use this, which is called a dough paddle, and that helps incorporate the air into your mix. You just pour it right in. What does it say next? It says salt, 1.5 teaspoons. I don't know why I put it in the measuring cup. Put it right in the mix. Turn this on for just about a minute. Let it mix. In that time, we'll get our vegetable broth ready, because the next step is to have the shortening and the broth ready to go around the same time. The shortening should be melted. So you want to fill your measuring cup, 1 cup of shortening. I'm going to microwave it. It'll just take about a minute. This should be just a little bit warm. So we'll go ahead and we'll heat the shortening first to the microwave. I do about 1 minute. Okay, next we have our melted vegetable shortening and our warmed up vegetable broth. We're gonna add this. I'm gonna turn the mixer on low. When I turn the mixer on low, I'm gonna alternate between adding, sorry, I got a wild hair. I'm gonna alternate between adding the shortening and the broth little by little, and as I add it little by little, we'll increase the speed on the mixer, and it'll mix for about 5 minutes. So the next step in your tamale making process is the fun part, where you get to fill your tamales before you cook them. So really what you want is to really look for a really good husk, something like this, where you're going to be able to fold it pretty good. Let me find a bad one to show you what to do with. See, this one, this is not really one you want to use because it's way too small to fill a whole tamale. So what I do with these ones is I rip them into strips, and I'm going to use these strips to tie the tamales, because not only is it really resourceful, some people use like twine, like the brown twine to tie it. And that's what you do with naka tamales. You use the brown twine to tie them up while they're cooking to keep the steam inside. But with these, this just makes it look really cute and pretty. And it's also really resourceful because you're not wasting any of your husks. So if you do come across kind of like a small one like that, like this, like you know you're really not going to fit a whole tamale in, just rip it into these little shreds like this where you can use them as ties on your tamale. That's what I like doing. So the first ones we're going to make are going to be our chili con queso, the green chili and cheese. So I just buy these pickled sliced jalapenos. I like them. I feel like they have a really good flavor to them. And I bought two different kinds of vegan cheese. The first one is the Miyoko's. Everything that Miyoko's makes is really good. I trust all of their products. But I also like the Daya cheese. I haven't tried all of their products. I've only tried their cheese, and also I use it with the Impossible Burger for the cheddar slices, and it melts really well. That's what I really like about the Daya. So we're going to use both today because I like both of them equally. They both melt really well. I'm going to get a husk. We're going to get our dough. You want to make it closer to the top because you really want the bottom to make like a seal, because we're going to put the bottom side down in the steamer. So like I said before, you just put just a couple of chilies is good, and kind of like a handful of cheese. Don't under cheese it because the cheese part's the best one. And put your sauce. Just fold it over like this. Make it, just kind of make it into, once it steams, it'll form into its own little thing. And then like that. We're gonna fold this part up. And then tie it. Like I said, the tying part can be challenging. Do your best. Tied. Should come out looking something like this, like a pretty little package. In my opinion, that's like perfect tamale little package. This, not so much. I overstuffed it, and that's what's gonna happen when you overstuff it. You're not gonna be able to tie it. I'm gonna just have to fix that later, but ultimately you kind of want it to look like this. So when it goes into the steamer, it's fully closed. We're gonna make our red chili jackfruit tamales. So again, just like the green ones, you really wanna find a really good big husk like this. That's like a really good one. So you just, take your handful of masa, and you're gonna wanna press it. Remember to press it closer to the top than to the bottom, because remember you want that like really good seal on the bottom so it doesn't fall out on the inside or come apart. And then just kind of try and spread it out as much as you can, because when you fold it together, it's going to all come together. So don't worry about it being too thin. Oops, I need a little spoon for this. So here we have the red chili jackfruit. We're going to just put a little spoonful in there. Like that. We're going to do the same thing like we did with the green tamales, where we're going to fold this over and fold that over, which that's beautiful. That's like a beautiful little seal right there. And we're just kind of push it all together. You really don't have to. I'm just more like neurotic about it. So fold, fold, and then remember to put the bottom up. We're going to use one of our little handy dandy ties here. Fold it, and then tie it up so. So again, just like the green chili one, here we have like a perfect tie. This is really like how you want it to look, ensuring that the bottom is sealed so none of the masa falls out of the bottom and that it steams good enough. So then we're gonna come over here. This is my really old tamale pot. I thought about buying a new one recently, but I've had this one about 12 years and it works just fine. It's just a little bit not pretty anymore. So what you wanna do is you're gonna stand your tamales up like this. And what you wanna do is you want to put water, enough water in there, because down here is where you have all your water to steam. It's about 1 finger worth. Turn your heat up, about medium heat. My pot in particular, I've counted about 50 regular tamales, and if they're Naka tamales, they're a little bit bigger, and they're usually like only 20 per pot, but these are regular tamales, so about 50. You want the heat to be medium, and each batch will be about 35 to 40 minutes. So I'm gonna set my timer for 35 minutes, and in 35 minutes I'll check them, and then we get to eat them. So now our tamales are ready, and we're really excited to eat them. So we have one of the red ones, one of the green ones, and you just go ahead and obviously unwrap your little package. And just unwrap it. I unwrap it, and I take the husk off so it doesn't get in my way because I'm on my seat. That's it. There we go. Get it out of there. Again. Sorry. Okay.
Looks really good. Another sauce. You want some? Cheese good. So thank you for watching our video, and I guess we'll make another one some other time.
Yep. This will probably be an outtake. Not in the